yet their fans still lined up at the entranceways, Joe, to get in here. Good testimony and support for the program at this stage.
This is just one of 4 NCAA quarterfinal matchups being played today.
Harvard plays at Hartwick today in the Eastern semifinal. Loyola of Maryland is down at Durham, North Carolina to meet the Duke Blue Devils. Out west, Fresno State plays Southern Methodist, and of course here, Akron and Penn State. The winner of this game will meet the winner of the Fresno State SMU game. Fresno State, a team that Akron has already beaten this season, out west in a tournament early on in the year. Akron has had 2 winning streaks this year, a 4-game winning streak and a 6-game winning streak. And they come into this game playing some of the best soccer, I think, Joe, they've played all year.
And this is a young University of Akron soccer team. In the starting lineup today, we have 3 seniors, 3 juniors, 2 sophomores, and 3 freshmen. So it bodes well for the future for Steve Parker and the Zip soccer program.
He's built this program so effectively, and I think today's game is testimony to it. As Joe indicated, it's a relatively young team, particularly at the front end. The leading scorers for Akron are a freshman and a sophomore, Neil Turnbull, the big youngster from England, and Roderick Scott, the young player from Canada, the 2 leading point producers for the University of Akron Zips. On the Penn State end of the field, Joe, we've heard a lot about a youngster named Jan Skorpen, a Norwegian player playing for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
As we look around, the crowd still filing in, and this may be the reason for the brief holdup, David. The fans lined up at 2 out of the 4 entrance points the University Athletic Department has set up for this afternoon's matchup. A lot of promotion going into this soccer game, and it would not surprise me to have a crowd somewhere around 3,000 by the time everyone's in today.
I think you're probably going to be right. The referee today, Steve Olson from Ann Arbor, Michigan. The other 2 officials from Dayton, Ohio, Michael Rado and Ron Baldio. Referee Olson looks like he's about to get things underway. Bringing you the play-by-play action, then will be the voices of soccer, Joe Dunn. Joe?
Thank you, Dave. We're underway here in the biggest soccer match the University of Akron has ever played. The winner advancing to meet the winner of Fresno State and SMU, and just 2 games away from the national championship December 13th in Tacoma, Washington. The Zips get a break early on the misplay by Penn State, and they feed it in to our left. They have Zupko in goal, and they'll be attacking John Pascarella, the goalkeeper for Penn State.
Pushing against Penn State. Direct kick, Akron.
The Zips with the direct kick. Ball centered up. The header is right to the right.
Well, you saw one of the reasons Neil Turnbull is at the front end of the field, Joe, instead of at the fullback as he was originally recruited. He's great with the head, great in the air. He went up there, got the head to it, missed just wide to the goalie's left.
Turnbull, the freshman out of Fareham, England, has 10 goals and 1 assist coming into today's match. The Zips pressing defensively right in front of the Akron bench. Just underway here at Lee Jackson Field. Joe Dunn along with Dave Jamieson bringing you NCAA Division I soccer tournament play. The Zips against the Nittany Lions of Penn State. Akron advancing to today's match with an overtime win over the nation's #1 ranked team last Sunday. That's the Evansville Purple Aces down at Evansville, Indiana. The Zips trying to come up with something in front of their goal. This is number 10, Derek Gaffney, keeping in the Akron end. Mike Barish battling. Early play down in the Akron end. And the fans still lined up all around Lee Jackson Field trying to get in and see this match this afternoon. Pat Nash battling, number 16. Nash with the winning goal last week against Evansville.
Pat Nash, a hot player, 5 goals in 5 straight games. Roderick Scott around the right side.
Scott coming in, looking for a move. Scott coming in all alone. His shot and knocked away there by Pascarella. Nice save by the Penn State goalkeeper.
You see the speed of Roderick Scott. It's made him one of the most effective wingers in the nation.
Scott, the sophomore out of Kitchener, Ontario, one of the quickest players in Division I soccer. Zips keeping the pressure on early. And the infraction there, tripping against Penn State. Akron with the direct kick. Shot and a goal for Akron! Goal Zips! They score early, and the Zips have broken out on top, 1-0.
They took the indirect kick very quickly before Penn State was set. Derek Gaffney played it to Evison, who played it forward. And we'll see if there's the replay. You can see it right in under the crossbar at the top. Dave Wells, the freshman from Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, puts it in, and that gets the Zips off early here. Just about 4 minutes played. The Zips are off to a 1-0 lead. A great start on a nifty play.
David Wells, the young freshman from Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, 5'10", 160, gets his 6th goal of the season. And what a recruit he has been, David, for the Zip soccer program, coming in here with a heralded high school career and coming up with his 6th goal of the season.
And he has started all 21 games. He's been a very effective player as a freshman for the Zips.
Penn State now trying to battle back. Akron playing very well early here at Lee Jackson Field.
Scott picks up the assist on that goal by Wells.
Zupko with the save.
Head on with Steve France there. Steve France, a youngster from Richland, Pennsylvania, one of the more effective Penn State forwards. He's a right winger.
Zupko, nice boot. Headed down by Turnbull. Turnbull now battling against Zartman at midfield. Broderick Scott trying to put the pressure on. If you just joined us, the Zips lead 1-0 on an early goal by freshman David Wells. Penn State with a win last week over Seton Hall to advance to the quarterfinals here in Akron. Pasquarel out.
Good ball. Gaffney couldn't quite get to it. Good idea from the midfield by the Zips. All the play at the Penn State end except for one brief break down toward David Zupko. The Zips have the pressure on.
Turnbull, Scott, and Wells, the 3 forwards for the Zips, battling against Penn State at midfield.
It's Turnbull in the air again, playing it well.
Wells down the right side, centering pass. Nobody there. Coming up is Nash. And a block there by Pasquarella.
Graham Evison got off a good shot. One of the fullbacks got a leg in front of it before it got to his goalie. We'll have a corner for Akron there first.
Well, the Zips definitely dominating play here in the early going. They lead 1-0 on a goal by David Wells. Corner kick for the Zips. The crowd into this one early.
That'll be another corner. Nope, it'll be a foul on the Zips and a free kick for Penn State. Derek Gaffney got the corner out in front. A little tangle of players in the Penn State Nittany Lions come up with it.
Well, the fans now nearly lining the entire field as we look across the way. The bleachers on the press box side of the field nearly full. Sun out and a beautiful day for soccer here in northeastern Ohio as the Zips try and advance toward the national championship December 13th in Tacoma. Coming in on Zupko.
This is Niall Harrison, the Irishman on right wing for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Battling against Pat Nash, trying to center it up. And that one against the side of the net. And the corner kick belongs to Penn State. Their first of the match.
Niall Harrison, one of 2 Irishmen that Coach Barr starts. The other, Paul Moylan, a big fullback.
Harrison only 5 feet 5 inches tall, 150 pounds. Shows good quickness battling Pat Nash right at the Zip goal.
Joe and I saw him score last year here at Lee Jackson Field. Niall Harrison scored Penn State's only goal a year ago.
Centering, headed out of there by the Zips. Pushing infraction against the Nittany Lions. Zupko with the long kick downfield. Turnbull tries to head it out of there. On the right side. The Zips battling Penn State, also playing good defense, and they come back up with the ball. Now down in the Penn State territory.
Sean Docking kicking it out there. Sean Docking looks much more comfortable this year at a fullback, Joe, than he did last year at forward, I think. Played extremely well all season at that back line for the Zips.
Steve Parker tried to come up with a more cohesive unit. The Zips having a hard time scoring goals 1 year ago, and they are a much more offensive-minded squad this year.
Much more explosive.
Klein on the right side. Gets it ahead. Nash on defense. Knocks it away. Scott trying to keep it in play for the Zips.
Tripping call.
Tripping against Akron. Direct kick, Penn State.
Zips now come back on defense. I guess the big question now, David, will the Zips be content to sit back and play defense?
I don't think so. I think they'll push it forward. They'd like to get that second goal. Penn State will push forward now. Penn State will be more offensive-minded. It'll change their original game strategy. They have been a solid defensive club all year. They've had a little trouble scoring us. About some version of the Zips last year, similar time of problem.
Penn State working up the left side. The Zips battling back on defense.
Matt Smith at that right fullback.
Smith, number 4. Smith, Pfister, Evison, and Docking, the 4 Zip fullbacks starting the game for Steve Parker. Scott battling Zartman. And the Lions get it back to their goalkeeper, Pasquarella. Penn State now comes up the opposite side. Nash playing defense. Pat with the steal. Gets it left side to Gaffney. Gaffney centering pass toward Turnbull. The Zips on the attack again, leading 1-0.
Zips with 7 men forward there on the attack, Joe.
Centering pass again. Penn State heads it out of trouble. Nash finally gets it out of trouble to Zupko. Akron playing with a lot of confidence at this point, leading 1-0 early. As you mentioned, David, Penn State no stranger to Lee Jackson Field, losing last year to the Zips. And I really don't know how much that means coming into this game, but the Zips playing with some confidence early.
I think they are. They've beat them twice in a row, and they're not intimidated at all by Penn State, and that's a good sign. Mark Pfister there playing with a sprained left wrist or maybe a broken bone. I saw him last week. He said he thought it might be even broken.
Barish gets it back to Smith. Smith trying to maneuver. Now kicks it out of trouble down toward Roderick Scott. Scott there marked by Gillen. Scott.
Obstruction on the Penn State player. Scott too much speed for him, and the Penn Stater stepped in front of him to prevent the run. Here's Pfister on a run down the right side. Pfister picks up a corner for the Zips.
Zips with the corner kick, leading 1-0. Centering kick. Ball loose in front, and the Lions try and dodge the bullet and get it out of trouble. Akron looking for that second goal here in the first half of play. Klein gets it back to Mullen. And Penn State will now work it upfield. Jan Scorpin, the man they will try and get the ball to, their number 1 striker. Nash battling at midfield.
Here's 3 loose to Scorpin. Couldn't get the foot to it. Jan Scorpin is the guy, as Joe indicated, who has led the Penn State attack this year, their most prolific goal scorer. Scorpin, a freshman on the Norwegian youth team. came in, went to high school his senior year here at New England in the United States and Massachusetts, and led New England in scoring. So he's a man who's no stranger to putting the ball in the net.
This is Pat Nash working the left side, has Gaffney to his left. Gets it down the left side. Gaffney trying to run it down and it won't be quick enough. Neil Turnbull was the man that started the play, 6'3" and a freshman, and as David mentioned, good header. And he can start some things just by his height.
Played defense at home, but here he's found a home up front. He's found a place on the attack for the Zips.
Matt Smith, and that will be out of play. Akron in control. You're watching NCAA Division I soccer. Akron against Penn State. The Zips leading 1-0. Just under 32 minutes left here in the opening half. This is Barish down on the right wing, trying to make something happen, looking for a centering pass. Can't make the strike.
Foul is called.
The foul will be on Penn State.
Michael Barish is down for a moment, gets up slowly.
Corey Sensky and Tommy O'Rourke waiting patiently in front of us to come in the game, now talking with Steve Parker. Sensky out of Pittsburgh.
You see the Zips lined up here for the free kick from the right side down near the corner.
Centering kick, Turnbull waiting, headed and out of play. Nice save by Penn State. The Zips an inch or two away from their second goal.
That was knocked off the line, I believe, by fullback Gordy Klein. I think it had the goalie beat, Joe.
Assistant coach Simon Spelling pacing in front of the Akron bench. Gaffney with the steal. Keeps it in play. Marked there by Klein. Gaffney tries to center and bangs it off the leg of number 16 for Penn State, Jordy Klein.
That'll be a corner for the Zips. They're third of the first half as the pressure continues to be at the Penn State end.
Here comes Tommy O'Rourke.
On the attempted goal by the Zips, the header that was knocked off the line by Gordy Klein. 2 subs in the game.
Roderick Scott will sit down for the Zips. Wells comes out, gets a nice hand.
Well-deserved round of applause for Dave Wells, the freshman from Cuyahoga Falls, who scored the only goal of the game so far. Here's the corner.
Headed in there, and again, Penn State back in the goal mouth to make the save.
Again, the fullback off the line.
Nash marking tightly on Penn State, ball out of play. And Patrick hurries in and gets the ball from the official. Gets it inside to Gaffney. Gaffney, another centering pass. That one's over the head of everyone and out of play.
Zips with a lot of pressure on the Penn State goalie, and twice he's been helped by his fullbacks, knocking it right off the line for him. Crowd still filing in, Joe. Last few coming in the entrance by the gymnasium. Terrific crowd. Good turnout to support Zip soccer here.
Pushing against Penn State. Direct kick. Akron.
Sean Docking gets it down toward Corey Sensky. Sensky, number 2, left-hand pass to Nash. Nash will put it back in play. Gets it into Sensky. Back to Nash.
And please squeeze together so we can fit more people in. Thank you.
Well, the PA announcer with the
Corner kick.
announcement for the fans, telling them to squeeze together. People standing all around the field, centering pass now, and Pascarella comes up to make the save for Penn State.
Zips putting the ball back in play very quickly in every dead ball situation, giving Penn State no time to set up, and in fact, that's what led to that first goal. Zippy down in front of us, maybe the warmest one in the crowd, Joe.
I'll tell you. We are located right behind the scores table, probably at the highest location here at Lee Jackson Field, and the wind blowing right in at us. Akron leading 1-0.
Here's
Still
our
playing.
position. We're up here dressed like bag people to try and keep warm today.
Sean Docking, number 10. Penn State again with the steal. They're starting to put a little more pressure right now on the Zips.
Scorpion taken down by Sean Docking. Gives the Zips time to set up.
Direct kick. Obstruction against Akron.
Penn State's going to need to become more offensive-minded,
Correction, dangerous play against Akron.
and they'll try and push more players forward. Now they've got 7 in the attack.
Harrison against Nash. And Pfister comes and kicks it out of play. Zip defense has been strong all year long. Veteran fullbacks with Docking, Evison, Pfister, Smith. David Zubko, playing his first year as a starter for the Zips in goal, has 11 shutouts this season and in goals against the average of 0.9.
Placing number 13, Steve France.
Peter Daigle, a substitute into the game, the forward for Penn State.
Ball loose in front.
That was Daigle with the left foot, first time, putting it over the top.
Akron.
Daigle's a Pennsylvanian from Fox Chapel, PA. Niall Harrison has been the quickest of the Penn State players so far, Joe, on the right side, it seemed to me, and he has created a couple of opportunities, as he did there, putting the ball out in front. Daigle misfired, got it over the top, but it's the best attack Penn State has had yet.
Pfister with the kick. Turnbill tried to hit it out of trouble for Akron. Pfister now back on defense. Has Pat Nash out ahead of him. Gets it up ahead to Corey Sensky at midfield. Derek Gaffney down the left side. To Sensky. O'Rourke battling. Akron trying to come up with their second goal here of the first half. You can see the footing muddy right there as the player is starting to slip. Pfister kicks it way out of trouble, and Penn State will bring it in.
Goal kick. Penn State.
25 minutes remaining here in the first half of play. Akron leading 1-0. Penn State coached by the veteran mentor Walter Barr.
Walter Barr's no stranger to the tournament. He's been to the NCAA playoffs 12 times in the last 13 years with his teams.
Zips work it back to Zubko. Penn State putting some heat on the Zips momentarily. Smith up the right side, being marked there by Scorpion at midfield. Penn State back in control.
This is Paul Moylan, the big defender from Ireland, who was so effective a year ago against the Zips.
Gaffney can't control at midfield. Haddad battling. Pfister kicks it out of trouble again.
Zips a little bit in the defensive shell now. He's clearing it out of trouble, waiting to get the quick counterattack. And he has some of the quicker players in there, Coach Parker does. Corey Sensky, Tommy O'Rourke, and of course Neil Turnbull.
Zartman down the right side, Sensky marking. There you see the rough footing here at Lee Jackson Field.
Peter
Gaffney
Daigle went down, yep.
back to Sean Docking. Docking up ahead. This is O'Rourke.
Evison plays it too far. Good idea trying to get the ball down the right wing where Mike Barish created something earlier, that time too far ahead for the youngster from Stowe, Ohio, playing right wing today for the Zips. Right midfield for the Zips.
As we mentioned earlier, this is just one of 4 NCAA quarterfinal matches being played today all across the country. Akron, if they should happen to hold on and win this match, will be paired with the winner between SMU and Fresno State, match being played out in Fresno, California. And by the way, a team in Fresno that Akron has already defeated earlier this season.
Beat them in their own tournament earlier in the year.
Nash working against Harrison. And Pascarella comes out of the goal mouth and will put it back in play.
Tripping against Akron.
Back at midfield, the Lions trying to battle towards Zupko. Zupko has not been attacked that much, David, here in the early going.
Hasn't been tested strongly yet, no. His fullbacks have kept the pressure off him quite well. It's a solid back line for the Zips. Docking, Matt Smith, Mark Pfister.
Matt Smith on defense for the Zips. Up ahead toward O'Rourke. Tommy right at midfield trying to control. Has 3 Penn State Nittany Lions battling, loses control. Gaffney with the steal. Derek Gaffney out of Dublin, Ireland. Gets it to Pat Nash along the left side. The Zips on the attack. Nash slows the pace. Nice move around the Penn State defender. Looks for a centering pass. Trying to find Sensky out in front of the Penn State goal. And the Lions playing tough defense. Sensky now battles it back to Gaffney. Akron putting the heat on. This is O'Rourke. Lets it slip by him, and here comes Penn State.
Tommy O'Rourke thought he had a man behind him. No one was there when he let it go by.
Infraction there.
We're going to see a yellow card being shown to Matt Smith for the tough tackle. I'm sorry, to Graham Evison. Graham Evison gets the card. Of course, the second one of those, and Graham will have to sit down. That time we saw Steve Potter, number 4 for Penn State, all the way back in the defensive end. The Nittany Lions don't want to give up that second goal because that's a tough hole to dig yourself out of at the other guy's field.
There are 20 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the first half.
Corey Sensky, who came into the game at the left wing for the Zips, known well to fans in Pennsylvania. He was an All-American out of the Pittsburgh area as a high schooler.
Sensky, the parade All-American. Playing his second year here at the University of Akron. Penn State will put the ball back in play. Just over 20 minutes remaining here in the opening half. Akron leading 1-0. Gaffney with the steal, but the infraction against Penn State, tripping. Akron with the direct kick.
The yellow card is not an unknown sight to Graham Evison. He plays hard all the time, Joe, and he has had a few this year. He's an aggressive and a tough-minded player.
John Docking with the direct kick down toward Tommy O'Rourke. Ball loose. Mike Barish coming over, heads it toward Gaffney. Gaffney back now to Mark Pfister, and down he goes.
No call either way as Pfister and the Penn State player went shoulder to shoulder. That was Troy Snyder. Troy Snyder, number 9 for Penn State, was expected to be their leading scorer, but the way things have turned out, the youngster, the freshman from Norway, Jan Skorpen, has been the man who's provided the firepower for Coach Barr this year.
Moylan marked there by O'Rourke, battling. Moylan Zips, and the footing really getting treacherous.
Yeah, Moylan has a problem with the footing and with the Zips. He was under a great deal of pressure there, almost gave it up in front of his own net to Tommy O'Rourke. Moylan, a veteran from Sligo, Ireland. He's one of the 2 Irish players starting on the Penn State side. This is the other one, Niall Harrison.
Niall Harrison, number 7. Pat Nash with the steal. The Zips coming 4-on-4. Nash with the shot and a nice diving save by Pasquarella as Nash tried to find the right side of the goal mouth, and Pasquarella was equal to the challenge.
A good idea on Pat Nash's part. He looked for the pass. Nobody was in real good shape. He went ahead with the shot, and he nearly snuck it in the corner right by the bottom of the left post. Pasquarella was sharp on that one.
At midfield, the Zips take over and get it back into play quickly. O'Rourke down the right side.
Even the linesman having problems with the footing. A little sloppy over there. You can see on that shot the number of fans ringing the field. It's a terrific turnout here for NCAA playoff soccer at Lee R. Jackson Field.
Penn State kicks it out of trouble, and Akron will put it back in play. Corey Sensky, the trigger on the pass. Turnbull tries to head it. Penn State trying to get it out of trouble and get it up ahead. They do. Pfister and Evison playing defense for the Zips. And again, Mark Pfister goes down.
Kamel Haddad mixing it up with Pfister there. Haddad, a sophomore, remember the Tunisian youth team. He's from northern Tunisia.
For Zip seniors like Pfister and Barish and Gaffney, you can expect them to give a little bit extra because they know this is the last time around.
Yeah, this is, and they have a chance to go all the way. And we've seen the women's softball team go a long way in the playoffs. We saw the football team go last year to Rhode Island. We've seen a lot of success, but some people think this team may be the one that, for the Zips, may go all the way to the national championship.
Well, they are 2 games away from playing for a national championship. As we've mentioned a few times, the Zips can win. They'll take on the winner of the SMU-Fresno match. Sensky. Centering pass again, the Penn State defense locked in right in front of Pasquarella to knock away the Zip shot.
Mike Barish got a lot of foot to that off Sensky's feed, and the Turnbull was in front, but Pasquarella was able to cover up.
Zartman, number 17, gets it back to Moylan. And finally, Pasquarella puts it back in play. Penn State at midfield. Shot right in front, a header over to the right of Zupko.
Well played by Peter Daigle to Haddad, who put it right in front, and the header by Scorpin just over the top. That was a very dangerous play by Penn State.
Scorpin in excellent position and shot it just over the goal. David Zupko.
Zips bring the 2 starters back in, Roderick Scott and David Wells at the forward positions, and the Penn State Nittany Lions bring in a substitute, Simon Eccles, a defender we saw a year ago, a Canadian player. He's at the right back position.
Pushing against Penn State.
Obstruction against Penn State.
And the Zips have it, leading 1-0. 15:21 left to go in the opening half. Matt Smith. Over to Sean Docking. Docking marked there strongly by Penn State. Gets it ahead to Pat Nash. Nash centering it up. And now has blue shirts surround him, and they steal.
Pat got a lot of open field. He couldn't get a teammate in position, though, to make the pass. 3-on-2 Penn State. Can't bring it off.
Gaffney marking strongly. Penn State at midfield. Nittany Lions trailing 1-0. Pfister up, and nice defensive play there by Pfister. Turnbull can't get there in time, and Zupko now will come up, make the play, and put it back in play for Akron. Fans kind of sitting back and watching now, David, after that first goal. Nash waiting at midfield, can't get it. Roderick Scott now will control.
He can bring them to their feet. Taken down by Eccles, Roderick Scott was. He brings excitement into the game, Joe, with his speed. And Eccles will see the yellow card. So we've seen one each way. Simon Eccles, the defender from Burlington, Ontario, takes down Roderick Scott, and he sees the yellow card. Referee noting down the card. You see the crowd there, a great turnout. You see the Zip cheerleaders right in front out here on this chilly day to pep up the enthusiasm of the crowd. This is the type of play off which the Zip scored earlier. Derek Gaffney triggering a free kick about 35, 40 yards out. Now Eccles comes off after the yellow card, and Klein, the starter, goes back in at right fullback.
Derek Gaffney. Ball loose in front, Penn State there. Pat Nash there. Makes the steal, gets it to Graham Evison. Evison down the left side. Nash now, centering pass. Roderick Scott can't be there, and Pascarella comes up to make the save. From our vantage point, Roderick Scott looked like he was in excellent position.
And a dandy cross by Pat Nash, just well played. Roderick couldn't maybe get the footing under him. We're not quite sure what happened down there. As Joe said, he looked like he was in the right spot. Nash got it in the right place. Roderick couldn't get to it.
Crossing pass to Klein, marked there by Gaffney. And Pascarella. Less than 13 minutes ago here in the opening half. The Zip scored early on a goal by David Wells that has stood up, and it's 1-0 Akron. Klein, marked by Gaffney, gets it back to Pascarella. Gaffney at midfield.
Dave Wells slipping. Ball almost through to him.
With the condition of this field, one more Akron goal, as you said, would make it very difficult.
Yeah, that would make it tough for Penn State to come back, because it's tough to mount the quick break that you need for the this level of soccer for the kind of scoring.
Throw-in, Penn State.
Penn State with a throw-in across the way right in front of the big crowd standing opposite the scorer's table here at Lee Jackson Field. Akron with the steal. David Wells trying to come up with it. This is Mike Barish down the right side. It back to Graham Evison. Has Pat Nash to his left. The Zips on the attack. Centering pass. Nobody home for the Zips. Evison battling. Heads it out of trouble. Gaffney keeps it in play. See is Nash coming up and can't make the play. And this one heading right over the Akron bench and out of play. And the Zips will put it back in play.
Roderick Scott was loose to the right that time, Joe, and he's still over there calling for the ball.
Centering pass. Scott there. Pascarella beats him to the ball.
Not quite far enough.
Zips playing aggressive soccer this afternoon, keeping the pressure on all over the field.
Ball has been in this end to our left much of the way in the first half. Here's Gaffney.
Gaffney with the steal, looking, the shot, twisting shot goes over the head of Pascarella.
Derek Gaffney has scored on that shot, I think, at least 3 times that Joe and I have been here to see him. It's a shot that gets up into the air and ducks under the crossbar. Nicely played. You're going to see it again here as Derek Gaffney gets the foot to it, puts the hook on it, and it's a little bit of a banana shot. This time doesn't quite duck low enough, but a good idea. Derek Gaffney getting some space in front and taking the shot. Into the game for Penn State, Steve France, number 13, listed as a midfielder. He started the game, you'll recall, at forward, and he's up there now. Some of the fans keeping warm.
Penn State can't make the save. Pat Nash hurries and puts it back in play. Gets it to Wells. Wells one-on-one. Centering pass. This is Turnbull. He fires off Pascarella. Scott there for the rebound, but he can't pop it home.
We've seen Dave Wells score. We saw him almost get an assist there. An excellent play by Dave Wells as he slipped it across. Turnbull was in perfect position. And you're going to see it again here as it comes across. There's Turnbull with the rocket. And Pascarella had to be very sharp. Turnbull got all of that one.
Pascarella, the goal kick. And now the fans starting to come alive again. Pat Nash knocks it away to Gaffney, back to Nash. Pat down the left side. Marked there by Haddad. And
that'll be a
out of
corner.
play, and a corner kick for the Zips. That's their 5th of the first half. Less than 10 minutes ago here in the opening half of play, Akron leading 1-0 over Penn State, trying to advance on in the NCAA soccer tournament. Nash with a centering pass to the right of Pascarella and out of play. Penn State with the goal kick. The Zips putting the heat on.
Matt Smith tried to climb up high that time and get it in, got it just beside the goal.
Officials timeout now.
Now he says run the clock. Referee Steve Olson from Ann Arbor, a little confusion right now with the scorer's table. Now he's got it straightened out and the clock goes.
Akron did not practice on Lee Jackson Field this week. They were down at Bookdale Field to keep this playing surface in good condition, but just too much moisture over the last few weeks and the field becoming more treacherous each minute we play.
Getting torn up at both ends.
Graham Evison at midfield. He has Nash to his left, gets it to Pat. Pat down the left side, trying to center it up. Pat with a nice move, centers and off Penn State, out of play. Pat looking for someone. Gets it in toward Turnbull and...
Go for the long throw in, and it was a good idea. Dave Zartman can only knock it out and give Akron its 6th corner kick of the game. Eric Gaffney will take it.
Evison keeps it in. Gets it to David Wells. Wells has it banged away. Smith to Nash. This is Roderick Scott. Akron again putting the heat on Penn State. Scott with the shot in again over the head of Pascarella and out of play.
Well, they're going to try and test him now because they know he feels the pressure, and Roderick Scott got that shot off well. Since Wells and Scott have come back in, Joe, we've noticed a difference at the offensive end. A lot more action down here.
We would be remiss, Dave, if we didn't mention the assistance that Stu Perry and Dave Towle have given this University of Akron soccer program this year. Those two gentlemen very instrumental in making sure this NCAA contest being played in Akron today. Stu Perry and Dave Towle, a big thank you.
A tremendous contribution to the ZIP program on part of both those gentlemen.
Pfister up ahead towards Scott. Turnbull keeps it in. This is Scott. Zips coming 3-on-2. And Scott is run off the play, and the Lions get it back to Pascarella to, again, dodge the bullet. And you talk about pressure, Dave. The Zips have been putting it on the last 6 or 7 minutes trying to get that second goal here of the first half.
Yeah, it's been all down at this end. David Zartman, the big fullback who ran Roderick Scott off the play that time, is a senior for Coach Barr. He's from Myerstown, Pennsylvania. We saw him last year. He's a very solid player.
Akron felt they were outplayed at Penn State early in September. Even though they won the contest, they felt they had something to prove today.
I think that's right. Mark Pfister said Penn State was just all over us down there. And today it's been the other way around. The Zips have been all over the Nittany Lions down in their end. We're down to just under 6 minutes left in this first half. The Zips still leading 1-0. That goal came very early, about 3 minutes and 3 seconds into the contest. Dave Zartman's down on the field, the Penn State fullback, and the referee calls the time, calls for the Penn State trainer. Zartman bending over goalie Pascarella, as you can see, waiting while his teammates being 10-2.
As you mentioned, David, this has been a very successful year, or past year, for the University of Akron athletic teams. Football going to Division I AA playoffs 1 year ago. Bob Huggins and the basketball team advancing into the NCAA Division I tournament.
And playing University of Michigan eyeball to eyeball in a memorable game.
Joey Arrieta and the Lady Zip softball team, perennial entry in the Division II softball championships. And now the soccer program under Steve Parker advancing probably as far as they ever have in a NCAA Division I soccer tournament.
The athletic program really coming to maturity, I think, Joe, in a number of areas. And it's good to see it happening in more than one area rather than just a single team going all the way. We've got a diverse program, which has represented the university in a lot of ways. Dave Zartman's going to come off, Joe, and Eccles, who has seen the yellow card, comes back in at a fullback for Penn State. Eccles will wear number 2.
5:48 left to go here in the opening half. John Pascarella, the senior goalkeeper. Ball out of play, belongs to the Zips. Graham Evison. It's into Gaffney, back to Evison. Centering pass towards Scott. Headed out of trouble by Penn State. Ball loose. Pat Nash battling and comes up with it left of the Zip bench. Ball stolen there by Penn State. Steve Potter battling. Gaffney gets it back to Sean Docking. Docking double team, gets it away. Evison up ahead towards Scott. Scott will try and run it down, but can't get there in time. And Penn State will keep control and put it back in play. Goal kick by Pascarella. Steve Parker pacing in front of that Akron bench now steadies himself, looks out in the field, and the scoreboard tells him his Zips leading 1-0.
An enthusiastic crowd here today on a chilly late November day, Lee R. Jackson Field.
I guess we can't complain about the weather.
No,
this
could have been sleet and a lot of worse things here, Joe.
Graham Evison, blue shirts all around him. This is Pfister. Gets it back to Smith. Back to Mark Pfister. This is the first time the ball has been down on this end in a long, long time. Zupko now. Gets it out ahead of him, Docking.
This is Niall Harrison.
Harrison with the steal down the right side. Trying to center up and kicked out of trouble there by Matt Smith.
Harrison is quick. His speed has created some problems for the Zips, about the only ones they've had at their end.
Tripping called against the Zips. 3.5 minutes remaining here in the opening half.
Harrison will trigger and watch for Scorpion in the air in front of the goal.
There's a centering kick.
That was Steve Potter, and he couldn't get the head to it.
Paul Moylan trying to keep it in. Scorpion there. Ball loose and kicked out of trouble there by Mark Pfister.
Corner kick, Penn State.
Third corner kick of the first half for Penn State. Clock moving, coming up to the 3-minute mark. Although the Zips have dominated this first half, they are in a dangerous situation right here, David, with Penn State having a chance to tie this one up and get some momentum at halftime.
Penn State has every man pushed up. They want to get the equalizer before the half.
Ball loose. Scorpion tries to unload. He can't do it.
Well, that was very dangerous. Scorpion, a great player with either foot, got the left foot to it, and it was smothered by the Zips.
Akron trying to play out this final 2.5 minutes and go into halftime leading 1-0. Penn State trying to knot it up at 1. Zips momentarily get it out of trouble. Here's Roderick Scott at midfield. Scott showing some quickness. The Zips coming down on the attack. Scott can't keep control, and Penn State will bring it the other way. Less than 2 minutes ago in the opening half. Matt Smith heads it up toward midfield. Scorpion guarded by Docking. Zupko comes in to make a diving save.
Nifty play by David Zupko, beating the striker Scorpion to the ball in the air. Roderick Scott made a nice carry earlier. Should have unloaded the ball probably a little sooner than he did.
Turnbull heads it at midfield. Wells double teamed. Barish coming up to help. Smith heads it at midfield, the infraction against Akron.
We're going to have a timeout. The referee, I think, is going to talk to Matt Smith. Whether we'll see a card for Matt or not, I don't know. Matt made a complaint after the call, and the referee is here to go down and speak, I think, with the Akron fullback. Penn State has had its best pressure here in the last 3 minutes that it's had the entire game.
There is 1 minute, 14 seconds remaining in the first half.
This is Harrison. Marked there by Pat Nash, Derek Gaffney. Less than 1 minute to go in the opening half. Harrison with the direct kick. Penn State trying to knot it up in the final seconds here of the first half. Oh, the Zips dodge a bullet there, and
Dave
Akron gets it
Zupko
out
got
of
a
trouble.
hand in between two Penn State players and just punched it out of there. Nicely played by the freshman goalie.
Penn State can feel the momentum shifting here. They're trying to take advantage of it. May run out of time here in the final few seconds of the half. Half a minute to go. Barish in toward Turnbull. Scott. Whistle. And they'll go the other way, tripping on the Zips.
And the referee's going to show someone the card.
Yellow card.
Being shown, I think, to number 16 for Penn State, the fullback, Jordy Klein.
A yellow card been assessed to number 9 of Penn State.
No, it's Troy Snyder, the
Troy
junior from
Snyder.
Fleetwood, Pennsylvania.
Clock stopped with 18 seconds showing. And when play resumes, Penn State will have the direct
Well,
kick.
now there's confusion. Coach Barr is yelling, who's the card on? He doesn't think it could be on 9. Because I don't think he's in the game. I think it must have been 16, Jordy Klein. Coach Barr is all the way up here to check it out.
He wants a clarification of exactly who that yellow card was on, and now the official will come over right in front of us and explain the situation to Coach Barr.
Here's Coach Walter Barr, the legendary mentor of the Penn State soccer program. He's done a lot for soccer in the United States as well as at Penn State, and he's a man who's respected in the entire soccer community.
Correction, the yellow card against number 8.
And, of course, has two sons kicking in the National Football League.
Yes, one of them here on crutches today, unfortunately, for the Cleveland Browns. Well, now it's cleared up. The card was on Roderick Scott. It was on an Akron player, and Roderick is removed by Coach Parker, so Steve can talk to him for a moment here in the last few seconds of that first half.
10, 9,
Less than 10 seconds to go here in the opening half, and the Zips should go in at halftime with the lead.
3, 2, 1.
And that is the end of one half of play here at Lee Jackson Field in the 1986 NCAA Division I tournament. Our score at halftime: the University of Akron Zips 1 and the Penn State Nittany Lions nothing. We'll be back with second half play after this.
Continue through Tuesday, and it could be heavy at times. The detailed forecast for the northeast inland of Ohio, including Akron, Kent, and Youngstown, and the communities of East Liverpool, Niles, and Worcester. Mostly cloudy tonight and Monday, with the low tonight around 30, the high Monday near 45. Monday night rain is likely, with the low near 40. Tuesday.
Welcome back to Lee Jackson Field on the campus of the University of Akron. This is Joe Dunn along with David Jameson. And we are with you for the final 45 minutes of play here in the NCAA Division I soccer tournament. And if you just joined us, our score at halftime: Akron 1, Penn State nothing. Akron scoring early on a goal by freshman David Wells. It stood up for the remainder of the first half. And David, even though Penn State put some pressure on the final 3 minutes, we would have to say Akron dominated play that first half.
Akron dominated the play. We can see it by the stats. 6 corner kicks for Akron to just 3 for the Nittany Lions. Dave Zupko never called upon to make a save, although he did punch one out of there. Penn State with 3 saves. Akron 10 shots on goal to Penn State's 3. So clearly the pressure was at the Penn State end. Back to live action here in the second half. Joe?
Well, the Zips just 45 minutes away from advancing in this NCAA Division I soccer tournament, and Penn State early ties it.
Oh, they scored just
Unbelievable.
16 seconds into the half. Haddad, the player from Tunisia, breaking in on the left side. You'll see him on our replay with a very quick run down the left side. A pass comes across, all the way across the goal box, and Haddad nails it with the left foot. All right, we're not going to get a replay on it. Haddad broke in very quickly on the left side, just 16 seconds into the second half, and he put it in. Niall Harrison, who created some problems for the Zips with his speed, got it down the right side, came to the head of the penalty box, zipped it across to the left side. Haddad was there and was able to get the left foot to it, and Penn State equalizes very quickly here in the second half.
Well, the complexion of this game has changed dramatically. Just seconds into the second half, Penn State ties it at 1. And Akron now will have to collect themselves and come back and try and get something going offensively. The momentum right now very definitely with Penn State. They pick up just where they left off in the final moments of the first half, David. They were putting the heat on the Zips and Zubko in about the final 3 minutes, and they didn't hesitate. With 16 seconds gone here in the second half, they knocked the score at 1.
Picked up where they left off in that first half, and Penn State has the ball again in Akron territory.
Akron will have to get back that confidence and momentum they had. Turnbull with the steal, making a run at midfield. Tries to find Wells up the left side, but they get it back to Pasquarella, and this should be just a super final 43 minutes, David. We're knotted at 1.
That'll pick up Penn State's spirits a great deal, I think. That early goal, real confidence builder for them.
Pasquarella with the goal kick. The ball out of play right in front of Dr. Tom Nash, assistant coach for the Zips. Penn State hurrying to put it back in play.
France taken down by Mark Pfister.
Pfister, number 6, the senior from Brecksville, coming up hard to play defense for the Zips, tripping the call against the Zips. Penn State with the direct kick.
Troy Snyder will trigger it.
Snyder, the 5'10", 150-pound junior. Centering kick out in front. Knocked out of there, the ball loose, and Zubko scrambles to kick it out of play.
Oh, goodness, a dangerous shot there by Steve France, and Penn State earns their first corner of the second half. They've definitely got the pressure on.
Momentum right now on the side of the blue-clad Penn State Nittany Lions, the tournament-tested team under veteran coach Walter Barr, trailing 1-0 at the half. They have come in to knot things at 1, just seconds into the second half. Ball loose again, and that one flies by Zubko and out of play.
Well hit. Niall Harrison will get another chance at it, too. The call is another corner kick. Zip defense. Waiting. Ball loose. Zubko tries to bat it out of play. Mike Barish kicks it downfield for Akron. Ted Gillen there for Penn State. Gets it to his right to Jan Scorpin. This Turnbull at midfield. The Zips scrambling. 2 blue shirts go down. They come up with the ball and finally get it back to their fullback. Again, it's Turnbull. Up ahead to David Wells. Wells now to Roderick Scott. Scott with blue shirts all around, and they run him off the play. Scott trying to get it to Barish. Barish down the right side, looking to center. And finally kicks it off. Number 12, Gillen. Corner kick, I believe, for the Zips. Yes, off the foot of Gillen, as Joe described it for you. Mike Barish making something happen, coming up from the midfield spot, overlapping on the right wing.
Crowd trying to come back in this one. Crowd now, most of them gathered back of that Penn State goal. Centering pass, a shot, goes to the right. Out of play, the Zips trying to put some heat on. This is Barish. Centering kick.
Offsides against Akron.
Zips are offsides on the play. The sun has come out finally and warmed up this crowd and the field.
First offside call we've had today, 2 veteran squads, neither one getting cut on the offside. That's the first time we've had one all day long.
Pasquarella down the left side to Ted Gillen. Marked by Gaffney. Back to Gillen. Gillen only a freshman, playing, of course, in his first NCAA tournament. Sean Docking This is Graham Evison. Down he goes, tripping against Penn State.
Had the goal scorer called for the tripping. Penn State was here a year ago, and in the quarterfinals a year ago, they lost to Evansville 1-0 in a quarterfinal NCAA match. So they've been here before.
Barish to Evison. Graham down toward Roderick Scott, trying to find some room. Wells battling there, centering pass, nobody home for the Zips. Shot right, Turnbull, Scott with the shot, blocked by Pascarella. And the Nittany Lions dodged a bullet. The Zips put on their first big rush of the second half. Shot again in front, knocked away by Penn State. They kick it upfield.
Excellent pressure by the Zips, created by a very heady play by Dave Wells, the youngster from Cuyahoga Falls, who put it across the front of the goal.
Barish knocked off the play, and another tripping call on Penn State. Things starting to pick up dramatically now here in the second half. Graham Evison with the direct kick. Now he will step aside, and Derek Gaffney, I believe, will be the Zip that'll put it downfield.
And the wind will be against the way the Zips are going. It'll be again in their face in the second half.
Centering kick, ball loose. Pascarella out of the goal mouth, the ball loose. Roderick Scott standing right over Pascarella, and the ball doesn't pop loose.
Almost bounced it over his head. He was able to cover up very quickly. He's talking now to his defenders, Moylan and Niall Harrison, telling them where he wants them to be in the next time around.
Paul Moylan, number 5. The fullback gets it up ahead. Zips marking closely. Back to Pascarella. We are tied at 1. Both goals coming early in each half. Akron with David Wells scoring early in the first half, and Haddad coming back just 16 seconds into the second half. We look down, Steve Parker, probably the calmest person in the...
Sitting looking at it like it was, like he was just a spectator.
Penn State down the left side, shot right at Zubko, and he makes the catch with both hands out in front of him.
That was Haddad, the goal scorer, putting it right on Dave Zubko.
Docking down toward Gaffney. Has Barish to his right. Down he goes, and the infraction against Penn State will be tripping again. Gaffney shaking his head. Docking with the direct kick for the Zips. Docking down toward Barish. Ball headed out of there by Penn State, right in front of the Nittany Lion bench. Docking to Graham Evison. Evison tries to get it up ahead to Turnbull. He's triple teamed. And the direct kick will go to Penn State.
The game getting more physical, Joe, as the intensity increases on both sides. Akron thought the last week's game against Evansville might be their most physical of the tournament, but this one taking a turn toward that direction.
Pat Nash, across midfield. Run off
There's
the
an
play.
example.
Obstruction against the Nittany Lions. This big crowd now huddled together, watching second half play here at Lee Jackson Field, and Nash's shot wide to the left of Pascarella and out of play.
Pat got some open field when his defender slipped and went down, and he decided to go ahead and take the shot because he did have some open space in front of him. Shot it too high and too far to the right. The wind rises and dies, and it's hard to figure, I think, on some of the longer shots.
That one will fly right into the hands of assistant coach Simon Spelling, who gets it back to Michael Barish. Barish down to Gaffney. Gaffney triple team, in trouble, battling, down he goes, no whistle. Gaffney comes back for the steal. Nice play by Gaffney down the right side. Good move toward the goal mouth. Still in control. Gets it to Evison. He cuts loose. Pascarella with the save.
Couldn't get all the foot to that one. Brilliant play by Derek Gaffney as he eluded 3 Penn State defenders, slipped it across. Graham Evison couldn't quite get the full left foot on it.
Up at midfield, the Nittany Lions battle. Haddad lose it to Pfister. Up at midfield, Penn State will take over. Ball lost there, out of play. Troy Snyder had the ball come right off his foot, out of play. Penn State continues control. Ball loose in front. And finally kicked out of trouble there by Sean Docking.
Sean Docking was able to turn and make it nothing more than a throw-in rather than a corner kick. The ball was dangerously loose, as Joe described it to you in front there. Pfister played it to Docking. Docking turned and got it out of bounds.
Centering kick. The Zips try and punch it out of trouble. Roderick Scott coming up to mark the play, and the Lions get it back to their fullback, number 5, Paul Moylan. Centering kick, Scorpion. I'll take.
Goodness, Niall Harrison brought it down the right side. He has been a thorn in the Zip side all day, and he slipped it in there to Jan Scorpion, and Scorpion just misfired on it. That was a dangerous ball.
Pfister now with the kick, and this one will be out of play.
The left foot slips as Mark tries to hit it, and the ball goes wide right.
Penn State at midfield with the game knotted at 1. Akron goal by Wells. Penn State goal by Haddad.
Sean Docking on a run all the way from his fullback spot.
Docking tries to get it to Wells. Wells now, as the ball goes spinning all the way back to Mark Pfister. Up ahead to Derek Gaffney. Finally back to Matt Smith. The Zips will try and set up something, and they'll do it via the goalkeeper, David Zupko.
The wind slows that one up quite a bit, Joe. You can see a little bit of a factor there with the wind on the longer kicks.
Matt Smith wins the race to the ball, gets it up ahead to Mark Pfister. Penn State playing much more aggressively here in the second half.
Play on, says the referee. No call as Zupko and the Penn State forward Steve France tangle up a bit. France went underneath and Zupko was able to leap it. No call.
This is Pfister. Pfister trying to maneuver in probably the worst section of the field. Gaffney up ahead. Wells wins the race to the ball. Gaffney can't control. Docking comes up. Turnbull looks at Barish, and finally Wells at midfield tries to control for the Zips. Confusion at midfield. This is Gaffney looking for help. Gets it to Roderick Scott, out of play, and it belongs to Penn State, who they bring it back into play quickly.
Matt Smith covering Jan Scorpion, and he's done it well all day. Did it again there. Marking Scorpion man for man. Timeout. Referee gets call as number 9 for Penn State, Troy Snyder, limps off the field. Coach Barr will check him out, and he'll put a substitute in.
Number 9, Troy Snyder.
Peter Daigle in earlier in the first half was back in.
Number 11, Peter Daigle.
Ball goes all the way through to Zupko. Down to the 31-minute mark here in the second half of play. This is Roderick Scott out of Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. Good move. Ball off of Penn State and out of play right at the scores table.
Mark Pfister unable to take those throw-ins because of the broken wrist, and it'll be Matt Smith to come over and do it. Normally Mark is the throw-in man.
Michael Barish to Gaffney. Off Gaffney and out of play. Graham Evison. The infraction. Tripling called on Evison.
Steve Potter, you saw there talking to the referee, asking for a holding call from an earlier play.
Kept in by Penn State.
That was Paul Moylan coming forward, the only time I've seen him up all game.
David Wells coming one-on-one, trying to break free, coming right in on Pasquarella and run off the play.
And we do get a call. Dave Wells does earn the call. The referee's got his hand in the air. The call is obstruction. This will be an indirect kick, Joe, from inside the penalty area. Penn State will form the wall in front of their goalkeeper. Dave Wells, with good individual effort, earns an indirect kick inside the penalty box for his team.
We're tied at 1. And the Zip fans to our left and all around the field now on their feet to watch the kick.
6 men in the wall, 7 men in the wall for Penn State. Akron talking over the strategy. Dave Wells up there along with Docking and Derek Gaffney. Mike Barish in the picture as well. Now Pat Nash moves into the picture. Derek Gaffney looks like he's giving the instructions, what he wants, the veteran player.
And that one spins to the right of Pasquarella and out of play.
They got the shot they wanted. Played to Derek Gaffney. He got the outside of the foot on it, tried to put that banana in, and it wouldn't go for him. David Wells with a fine effort there, creating that opportunity for the Zips. A good individual run down the right side.
Up at midfield, Docking battles. Ball loose. Finally, this is Gaffney. Has Scott to his left. And knocked off the play by Penn State. The Nittany Lions very aggressive here in the second half. They are back in this one, knotted at 1. Scott being marked there closely. Gets it to Derek Gaffney. Gaffney with a good move. Trying to center it up. Down he goes. And a tripping call will be on Penn State.
Now this one will be direct because the call was tripping. The earlier one, obstruction's an indirect call for the fans who are marking the action with us. This one will be a direct kick on goal. Again, Penn State with 5 men in the wall.
Shot right off of the wall of Penn State. This is Pfister. Centers it back up, and this will be finally in the hands of John Pasquarella, the Penn State goalkeeper. Penn State brings it the other way. Zips dominating here the last 2 minutes of play, but Penn State having knotted the game just 16 seconds here in the second half. This is Neil Turnbull. The shot off to the left of Pasquarella. Pfister with the header toward Turnbull. Neal to Roderick Scott, has Gaffney there. Scott shoots off Pasquarella, rebound off the crossbar.
Roderick Scott got off a good shot. The save bounced out to Gaffney, and Gaffney hit the goalpost, hit the right goalpost. Excellent scoring opportunity for the Zips. You're going to see it again here in a moment. Okay, there it is. There's the move by Scott. He gets the shot off. The ball is knocked out. Derek Gaffney will pounce on that rebound, hit it hard. It beats the goalie and hits the goalpost. You saw it bouncing back out. All right, back to live action.
Corey Sensky coming in. Michael Barish sitting down for the Zips. Well, Akron coming so close to taking the lead in this match. We are still tied at 1.
Sensky's in at a forward, moves Dave Wells back to a midfield position, Joe, at this point. Use his size a little better at the midfield against number 9 for the Penn State Nittany Lions, Troy Snyder. So it's Gaffney, Sensky, and Scott up front now for the Zips.
Akron trying to put the heat on. Penn State at midfield. Kept in there by Graham Evison. Sean Docking kicks it out of play. And it'll belong to the Zips.
25 minutes left to go in the second half.
Matt Nash centering kick. Docking keeps it in. And Smith now gets it down to Pat Nash. Nash centering kick. And right into the hands of Pasquarella.
Nash turned on that one nicely. Couldn't get it to Gaffney.
Most of the action down in front of John Pasquarella, but now Penn State coming back offensively. In front of the Akron bench. Troy Snyder being marked there by Nash. Or excuse me, by Wells. Nice centering pass there by Penn State. Turnbull tries to keep it in. Here comes Pfister up. Pfister with a nice defensive play. Up ahead to Roderick Scott. Scott with a good move away. The Zips coming 3-on-3. Up ahead is Gaffney. He'll try and keep it in. He does. But Penn State's there defensively. Senski battling. Runs a man off the play. And let's see the call.
Senski and Steve Potter, the call's on Senski as they go shoulder to shoulder in the Penn State end. Senski can't believe it. You see him asking the referee, what'd I do? Looked like it was shoulder to shoulder all the way. You'll see it again, I think, in a moment. Yeah, we're going to see Senski and Steve Potter for Penn State. There they are, jostling shoulder to shoulder. The intensity level has picked up. The physical nature of the game has picked up. Paul Moylan plays it up the right side as we come back to live action.
Steve Parker pacing the sidelines now in front of the Akron bench. Docking with the steal. Docking at midfield. Has Turnbull to his right. Scott to his left. Gets it ahead to Senski. Corey working. Surrounded by blue shirts. Finally gets it back now to Pat Nash. Up ahead to Roderick Scott. Down he goes. And kept in play by Penn State. This is Graham Evison. He goes down in the tripping call, and now a little shoving and pushing. You're right, David. The intensity right now, both these teams.
And Penn State gives up their third corner of the second half. The Zips have a shot here.
There you get a look at the big crowd on hand here this afternoon at Lee Jackson Field. They're watching a super match. We're tied at 1. Akron scoring early in the first half. Penn State countering with a goal 16 seconds into the second half. Turnbull heads it toward Pasquarella. Up in the air he goes to make the save.
More dangerous shot than it looked as Turnbull got it up in the air and might have ducked under that crossbar. Pasquarella was sharp.
Senski keeps it in. Trying to make something happen deep in the right corner. Centering kick to Gaffney. This is Wells, and out of play, and Penn State will bring it back in play right in front of their bench. Ted Gillen.
Ted Gillen with the ball, just a freshman, as Joe mentioned earlier, from New Jersey. Played a very good game, fullback for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Back to Pasquarella. Now Penn State will try and move it upfield against this very aggressive Akron defense. Roderick Scott with the steal. Scott keeps it in play. Up ahead to Senski. Senski loses it momentarily, and finally Pasquarella's a man who comes up with the ball for Penn State.
Everything NCAA soccer should be. Close match, well marked. Well refereed, I think, and well played on both ends. Tied at 1 with just about 21 minutes left to go in the second half.
Wells marking on the play. This is Moylan, back to Pasquarella. All the play here in the last 10 minutes, David, in front of Pasquarella.
In front of John Pasquarella, right.
This is Sean Docking. Up ahead to Roderick Scott. Scott goes down. No whistle. This is Troy Snyder off him and out of play. Wells will put it back in play.
Again, Mark Pfister ordinarily would throw that ball in. Mark points to the spot and says to somebody else to do it. He can't do it with the broken wrist.
This is Smith. That's Smith, number 4. Again, it's Wells to Derek Gaffney. Gaffney battling. Direct kick for the Nittany Lions right in front of their bench. Turnbull heads it out of there toward Evison. Wells has it slipped by him. At midfield, Turnbull kicks it back to the Penn State bench, and the Nittany Lions will put it in play. Zips with a run. This is Gaffney. Goes one-on-one. Centering pass. Turnbull with the header right at Pascarella.
Nice play. Pat Nash created room for himself, and when he did, he freed his other teammates. He got it across to Gaffney, who put the ball in the air. Turnbull got to it, but Pascarella was equal to the task. You'll see Pat Nash on the replay set that up, and then you'll see the ball picked off there by John Pascarella, the Penn State goalie. Niall Harrison carrying for Penn State as we come back to action.
Zubko watches that one fly over his head and out of play.
Good shot from behind the Akron goal there, and you see some of the fans. Very enthusiastic and a big crowd here, Joe, maybe 3,000, standing huddled around the Lee R. Jackson Field, enjoying very exciting soccer action. NCAA quarterfinals.
Smith up ahead to Wells. Wells along the right sideline. Sensky back to Gaffney. Gaffney to Graham Evison. To Pat Nash. Zips moving closer to Pascarella. This is Roderick Scott. Left of the box. Good move. Scott huddles away. Still in control. Now has the ball stripped. And Penn State regains control.
David Zartman, the senior defender, equal to the task that time. He's a very effective player. David Zartman, a 180-pound senior from Myerstown, Pennsylvania. Number 17 for the Nittany Lions.
Ball scoots out of play and into the crowd.
Steve Parker calls, "Come on, boys."
Well, David is getting down to nail-biting time.
Getting down to possible overtime, Joe, on a brisk day. And if overtime doesn't decide it, it is a shootout situation today because of the NCAA quarterfinal possibility. Or quarterfinal qualifier.
Smith up ahead to Derek Gaffney at midfield. And he has the ball go off him and out of play.
Should we get into the overtime situation and neither team be able to score, we would go to a shootout where each coach picks 5 players to take a shot directly on goal. Penn State survived one of those a year ago, beating Temple 6-5 in an NCAA playoff game in a shootout. And as we get closer to that possibility, we'll line up the various options available to the coaches for you.
Graham Evison at midfield. And he kicks it out of play. Now it's run down and finally saved there by Penn State's Neil Harrison. Troy Snyder. It's over to Ted Gillen. And Docking comes over and heads it out of play. Pfister saves it. Mark up the left side. Down toward Corey Sensky and headed out of trouble there by Penn State. Zips hurry to put it back in play. Senski right in front of the Nittany Lion bench. Gets it into Derek Gaffney. Gaffney to Roderick Scott, to Turnbull. Graham Evison, the Zips on offense. He's run off the play. This is Wells. Has Senski to his right. Corey trying to make a move. Double team there in the deep right corner and kicks it off the leg of number 12, Ted Gillen.
It'll be a throw and it went out to the side. Corey Senski will throw it in for the Zips.
Little confusion there with the Zips. Roderick Scott and Pat Nash both in the area.
Both in the same place. Pat Nash would like to have that one again. He had a good position, as it turns out. He may have been distracted by his own teammate next to him.
Clock stopped with 14 minutes and 46 seconds left in regulation play.
Referee Steve Olson coming over to talk to the scorer's table. And you listen to the enthusiasm of this crowd trying to cheer Akron on to victory. Referee has had his say. Coach Parker was over at the scorer's table, and he wanted to move the fans back from behind the touchline. Fans got a little close to the back of the goal. The goalie called for some help, and the referee came over, asked Coach Parker if he would have an announcement made.
The referee will not start the game until everyone is moved 10 feet back from the field. Thank you.
John Pascarella was the man complaining, I believe. He has a lot of Zip fans directly behind him. Wells can't get it to Senski. Gillen on a run. Docking there. Penn State trying to mount an offensive run, and this will be out of play and will belong to the Zips. A moving clock showing 4 minutes and 19 seconds left to go.
The fans down there by John Pascarella are some Zip lettermen, ex-soccer players, and I'm sure they're talking to him. That may be one of the reasons he wants them moved back. When you get down to that end, you'll see a lot of varsity jackets right in behind John Pascarella.
Glenn Sharkey is one of them down there, the goalkeeper for the Zips last year.
And Glenn is down there. This is Scorpin.
Scorpin run off the play now.
Oh, goodness.
Kicks that one to the right of Zupko.
He got that one off quickly, and he got it off well. That was a dangerous shot just off the corner of the post.
Pfister now with the goal kick. Line drive coming toward midfield. Turnbull heads it over toward Nash. Nash up ahead to Roderick Scott. Scott down the right side. He has David Wells running free down the right side of the box. And run off the play, and a nice defensive maneuver there by Ted Gillen.
Ted Gillen, the freshman, showing a good deal of poise as he came down one-on-one and ran Dave Wells off the ball. Coach Tom Nash, Doc Nash, went down to talk to the Zip fans down behind the Penn State goal to ask them to give Pascarella a chance to hear. Mike Barish looks like he's ready to come back into action for the Zips.
This is Wells. The Nash, and Evison runs right by it. The Zips had the play set, but Evanson ran right by the pass from Nash.
Perfectly set up. Evison in the right spot, just couldn't slow up enough on the field to get to it.
12 and a half minutes left to go in regulation. We're tied at 1. Akron scoring in the first half, Penn State in the second half. Roderick Scott right into the box. Leaves it for Senski. Shot high over the head of Pascarella. Senski got it all. And that one went screaming over the head of Pascarella and out of play.
You're going to see it again here. Senski nails it, and it just goes over the top of the crossbar. Corey Senski's going to come out of the game. Michael Barish in. He'll go back to a midfield, Barish will, and I think Dave Wells will move up front. Yeah, Dave Wells moves to a forward position. Michael Barish will be at the midfield spot. Corey Senski got off a rocket, and just a little too high, as Joe called it for you.
Pascarella motioning his defense up. Akron continuing to put the pressure on here through the majority of this second half. Penn State scoring just 16 seconds into the second half of play, and since then, Akron, again, David, in my estimation, has dominated play.
Dominated at least 25 or 30 minutes of this half. You're right, Joe.
Scott marked closely. Double, triple team now. Scott trying to get out of there. Evison with the run. Penn State not mounting much of an offensive attack at all since that goal early here in the second half.
Penn State playing it much more carefully, playing a little more physically. David Zartman and Paul Moylan, the two experienced fullbacks, asserting themselves. And on this side, Ted Gillen, the freshman, has acquitted himself very well. He's against David Wells now, freshman against freshman on the near side of the field.
Well, less than 11 minutes ago in regulation time. This is Pat Nash up ahead to Roderick Scott. This is Gaffney. Matt Smith now coming up. Centering kick. Pascarella. Ball loose! Nobody home there for Akron.
Confusion between the fullback and the goalie. That could have been disastrous for the Nittany Lions. Zips couldn't line it up. You saw Pascarella go into the air and his own player underneath him as he did so. Zips right back again. Evison tripped by Haddad.
Evison bangs the ball down, upset.
He wanted the advantage. He wanted the play to continue because he had control. There's part of the Penn State coaching staff and the assistant coach there. And down the line, you see Simon Spelling behind him.
Centering kick. Sensky with the kick, the ball loose. Barish is there. Tries to center it, being run off the play. Finally hits it up in the air, and that'll be over the head of Pascarella into the pack of fans directly behind the Penn State goal.
Mike Barish pushed forward from the midfield spot in a very good spot. One of the fans staying warm with some popcorn.
Well, the soccer community here in Akron has turned out in support of this Zip team this afternoon. And the Zip fans trying to motivate the players now into a win. Ball down towards Scott. Headed out of there. Evison saves it in. Up ahead to Roderick Scott. Scott on the ground. Gets it away. This is Turnbull with a hard shot. And that'll go to the left of Pascarella and out of play.
Roderick Scott called for the ball early on there. Dave Wells got it across to him. Roderick put it back and Turnbull hit it high. Zip setting some good plays up, as Joe has been calling it for you. Can't quite make the connection, but all the pressure at the Penn State end. We're under 9 minutes. We're down at about 8 minutes and 30 seconds at this point.
Pascarella very content now to have the goal kick down into Akron territory. This is Nash up ahead to Evison. Evison at midfield. Tries to find Wells. Wells battling there along with Turnbull. Ted Gillen, who seemingly is all over the field for Penn State there again. Hard shot there at midfield. I'll tell you, somebody for Penn State took just a wicked shot there from Pfister, his number 13.
Steve France, the forward. And he, I think, banged heads with Mark's shoulder and went down in a heap.
Less than 8 minutes now in regulation. We're still tied at 1. Ball rolling and out of play. Ball loose, Penn State trying to keep it in, and here come the Zips in a run. This is Evison. Evison at midfield. Down the right side to David Wells. Wells trying to make a move. Gets it ahead now to Gaffney. Gaffney right of the box. Looking, coming one-on-one. Centering shot. Wells is there. Kicks it. Can't connect strongly enough, and the ball comes back toward midfield. Smith keeps it in. Bangs with Barish. Barish to the left now. This is Pat Nash, who hasn't had his foot on the ball much today at all. Akron again with an offensive thrust, and now back at midfield. Penn State tries to kick it out of trouble. Pfister down the right side, gets it ahead, but Penn State is there, and they come the other way. Evison to Wells. 6.5 minutes left to go. We're knotted at 1. Smith, this is Wells. Wells to Turnbull. To Gaffney, back to Turnbull. Centering pass towards Scott, nobody there. This is Pat Nash. Coming up, shot on and over the head of Pascarella.
Pat Nash has not been as much a part of the action as he normally is, as Joe indicated to you a moment ago. We're going to see him again here with his best opportunity today, getting it to the right foot, creating some space, and then just hitting it a little high over the crossbar.
Scott marking on the play. This is Nash, keeps it in. Deep left side to Roderick Scott. He's double teamed. A run off the play. Nash keeps it in. Back toward Gaffney. And now Barish will try and set something up. Up ahead to Derek Gaffney off of Penn State defender and out of play. The Zips will regain control. Barish will put it in play. 5 minutes and 10 seconds left in regulation. Gaffney tripped, no call, and now we get the call. Pushing against Penn State.
This will be direct. And they'll set something up, Gaffney and Graham Evison. 5 minutes left to go. Mike Barish is up there. He'll probably run by the ball, and then Gaffney will hit it.
Getting very tense here at Lee Jackson Field. A lot riding on this one. Barish with the shot coming in. Turnbull tries to hit it and is banged to the ground, along with, looked like Sean Docking down there. Ball back in play. This is Nash. Pat heads it toward the top of the box. This is Gaffney. Has some wide open space ahead of him. Centering pass. Docking's there. Evison free. Looking for some room. Shoots. Off to the left of Pascarella and again out of play. And
Graham
again,
Evison.
Penn State dodges the bullet, David.
Graham Evison created a good chance for himself. Kamal Haddad, the goal scorer for Penn State, all the way back in the defensive end, was the man who got in his way, and the shot went wide.
4 minutes left to go in this soccer match. Akron 1, Penn State 1.
Really electric atmosphere at this point. A lot of excitement here among the fans, everybody on their feet.
Goal kick coming up toward midfield. Off the head, I believe, of Michael Barish, and Penn State will put it in play. Ted Gillen, number 12. This is Matt Smith now for the Zips. Akron trying to set up another offensive run. This is Docking. Sean up ahead. They want the ball in the possession of Scott, Roderick Scott, with the tripping call. For 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Clock moving to our left. Fans bundled up here at Lee Jackson Field. Zubko now. One of the few times he's handled the ball here in the second half.
Scorpion on a run that time. His teammate France wasn't patient enough to wait for him, hit it too far ahead.
This is Nash. Up ahead to David Wells. Wells, the freshman from the Falls, owns Akron's only goal this afternoon. Gaffney double teamed right in front of the Penn State bench and out of play.
Steve Potter knocks it out.
2.5 minutes left to go. This is Evison. Down to Barish in the deep right corner. Michael double teamed. Looks for some room to run and loses it off his right foot and out of play.
All the pressure for Akron has come from down the right wing against Ted Gillen, the freshman defender, but he has acquitted himself well, number 12 for Penn State, against some very experienced players, particularly Derek Gaffney, number 8 for the Zips.
Coming up to the 2-minute mark here in regulation time.
2 minutes.
Right at Gaffney. Gaffney coming in. Ball kicked out of trouble by Penn State. The Zips had an opportunity to make something happen and couldn't connect.
David Zartman, the big senior defender, just got to it.
If the game is tied at the end of regulation.
Up ahead is Matt Smith battling and can't save it. Good effort by Matt Smith as he went sliding underneath the scores table and out of play. Minute and a half left to go in regulation. Penn State in control. This is Docking. Keeps the ball in front of him. Gets it up ahead to Evison. Penn State there with the steal. Steve Potter, number 4, gets it left wing to Haddad, who owns Penn State's only goal. Marked there by Pfister. Coming up to the 1 minute mark. Penn State content to try and set up a final scoring play if they can. Ball loose, and here come the Zips on a run. 3-on-3 break. Turnbull right at midfield. Has Scott to his left. Scott down the right side. This is Gaffney maneuvering. Gaffney around. The shot and knocked off out of play.
Paul Moylan, the fellow Irishman, got to Derek Gaffney's shot and knocked it off the side. Quick throw in coming for the Zips.
36 seconds left to go. The Zips with the corner. Fans on their feet. Out of play. 26 seconds left to go. Gaffney with the shot. Docking heads it up toward Roderick Scott. The ball loose and out of play. Pascarella now talking with Scott. 15 seconds left in regulation.
Sean Docking playing a fine game, doing his part at the defensive end and then coming all the way up on the deep offensive efforts. Well, we're going to go to overtime, Joe, here at Lee R. Jackson Field in the NCAA quarterfinal.
Well, I don't want to call you a prophet, David, but long before this one started, you mentioned it might go in overtime, and here we are.
The teams were evenly matched coming in, and it proved to be that way. Early in the first half, 3 minutes and 3 seconds into it, freshman David Wells scored for the University of Akron on an assist from Roderick Scott, and then just 16 seconds into the second half, Kamal Haddad scored from Niall Harrison for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
We'll be back
1-1, and we will rejoin you in a moment from Lee R. Jackson Field. Akron Zips 1, Penn State Nittany Lions 1. We go to overtime.
Situation will change Monday. The main problem will be rain, which will become heavy, especially on southbound routes into southern Ohio and Kentucky. The rain may reach Illinois tonight, and perhaps Kentucky and southern Indiana and southern West Virginia, and extreme southern Ohio late tonight. The heaviest rain, however, will be on Monday as of now.
We're in overtime here at Lee Jackson Field on the campus of the University of Akron. Our score, the Akron Zips 1, the Penn State Nittany Lions 1. Joe Dunn along with David Jamieson. And David, why don't you explain the format we're in right now and what could develop?
We've got to have a winner today, so we'll go to 2 10-minute overtimes. The teams will not play sudden death in the overtime. It'll be 2 10-minute overtimes, full periods, going each direction on the field to equalize things. If the score is still even at that point, we go to a 5-player shoot-off, goal shoot-off, penalty kick shoot-off, and we'll explain that one when we get to it. Right now, we're in the first part of the first overtime. Joe?
Well, if you believe in jinxes or whatever it is, both goals were scored to the goal to our left, and that's the goal Akron will be attacking here in the first 10 minutes of overtime. Penn State, this is when they're dangerous. They scored just 16 seconds into the second half, and right now we're tied 1-1, just moments into our first of 2 10-minute overtimes. Zupko coming out and bang down to the ground and out of play, and it belongs, I believe, to Penn State.
That ball was dangerous, came from a long way out and was in the air. Zupko was face-to-face with Jan Skorpin, the Penn State striker, and Zupko was able to knock it away.
Niall Harrison double team down there, and the Zips will have it for the first time here in overtime. Just into our first of 2 10-minute overtimes. Gaffney there. Harrison out of play. Akron's goal scored by David Wells. Camille Haddad scoring for Penn State. And that's where we stand right now. That one off the face of Corey Sensky. That one had to jar you. Roderick Scott with the steal. Down he comes. 1-on-2 Akron break. Scott now waiting for some help. Gets it off to his right to Corey Sensky. Sensky leaves it and nobody home. The steal for Penn State, and here they come the other way.
Corey Sensky still holding the head, and he really took a shot there. Steve Potter with a shot on the Akron goal. Corey Sensky is hurting. Steve Parker looks down at the bench. He hasn't made a move yet.
Zubko high kick coming down toward Turnbull. Heads it down toward his goal. Doesn't get all of it. At midfield, Penn State moving left to right. Smith to Nash to Mark Pfister. That area right in front of the Akron bench, David, probably the worst field-wise of any location on the field.
Tough running down there, and the ball's taking some funny bounces. That would be Akron's left wing as we're here in the first overtime as they approach the Penn State goal.
Evison to Derek Gaffney. Gaffney run off the play, no whistle.
Haddad took him down, no call. Referee says play on. Not a popular call.
This is Docking. Penn State now in control. Docking with the steal out of play right at midfield. Belongs to the Zips. This is Evison at midfield. Way down the left side to Pat Nash. And Nash runs it down, keeps it in play. Working one-on-one. Nash run off the play, and Penn State kicks it out of trouble.
Niall Harrison clears that one into the outfield of the, and about right field of the softball field behind us, baseball field behind us. Sensky will take the throw in.
6 minutes left in the first overtime. Shot by Turnbull, or by
Derek
Gaffney, excuse me, finally.
Dandy shot as it was set up for him nicely on the throw in from Sensky. And you'll see it here again. The throw in comes in, and there's the save. Kicked away as Derek Gaffney got a good shot off. Back to the action.
Ball loose, out in front, ball on the ground. And Pascarella is there, knotted up with Roderick Scott.
Two Zip players, Roderick Scott and Sean Docking, on the ground along with Pascarella. Everybody down there in a heap, and Pascarella surrounded the ball.
All at midfield.
People behind the Penn State goal, please move off to either side. Thank you.
Play again getting rough.
Referee calls time. Mark Pfister got tangled up with Troy Snyder.
And
Steve France, and the two of them talking it over. Is Pfister going to see the card? Referee noting it in his book. And Mark Pfister will see the yellow card for that bump he gave to Steve France, the Penn State forward. Mark takes a halfway through this first overtime. 5 minutes left, 1-1.
We're exactly halfway through it, 5 minutes to go. Ball down towards Zupko, ball loose, and Zupko shows some courage and goes down the ground to get it.
Takes it right off the foot of Paul Moylan. A superb play by David Zupko, the freshman goalkeeper. Paul Moylan all the way up the field, had the left foot to it, and Zupko took it right off it.
Zupko, the freshman from Westfield, New Jersey. This is Roderick Scott, heads it down toward Pat Nash. Nash trying to maneuver, run off the play. Nice defense there by Georgie Klein. Back to Pascarella. 4:19 left to go in the first overtime. Penn State and Akron battling here in the quarterfinals of the NCAA soccer tournament. The play belongs, I believe, to Penn State. Now Akron jumps in and grabs the ball.
Pat Nash thought he had it. Shoved Steve Potter away, and the referee does say yellow ball.
3.5 minutes to go in the first overtime. Pat Nash to trigger in toward Gaffney. Ball out, kept out of play, and it belongs to the Zips. Sean Docking, number 10 for Akron. Gaffney leaves it for Nash. Zips can't make something happen right in front of their bench. Niall Harrison down the right side. Gets it to Steve France. France marked there by Gaffney. Gaffney runs him out of play, and Evison gets it back out to Pat Nash. And Nash loses it off his foot and out of play. Turnbull up ahead to Roderick Scott. Roderick now will show his speed, but he can't outrun number 12, Ted Gillen. Gets it down toward number 2, Corey Sensky, but Pascarella comes up to make the play. Defensively for Penn State, we're tied at 1.
John Pascarella has looked sharp in this game. The Zips have outshot the Penn State Nittany Lions 24-10 during the regulation time, and again, another 2 or 3 shots in the overtime. Pressure's been on. The Zips have not been able to put that second goal in. Both teams tiring a bit at this point and fighting a muddy pitch. A little bit slower going than it was in the early stages. Pushed by the Zips, and Penn State had a shot from here earlier, a kick from here earlier that wound up with a dangerous situation for Akron.
Under 2 minutes remain in the first of 2 overtime periods.
1 minute 39 seconds left to go in our first overtime.
This is Troy Snyder again, same fellow who got it well up in the air with the left foot from the same spot late in the second half.
That one kicked out of play.
Corner kick, Penn State.
Corner kick. And kicked out of trouble there by, looked like Neil Turnbull.
Neil Turnbull, right.
This is Sensky. Up ahead toward Roderick Scott. He can't control it. Sensky heads it away. And a pushing call will go against Sensky with 40 seconds left to go in the first regulation, or first overtime. Up ahead, the ball squirts through. Pfister trying to kick it out of trouble, and he does.
Mark Pfister saved the day there. A ball got through on a misplay by Akron.
Niall Harrison gets it to the right to France. France is hammered to the turf by Sean Docking, coming up to the 10-second mark left here in the first of our 2 overtimes. Penn State hurrying to get the ball in play.
Timeout. Official calls time.
Timeout with 7 seconds left to
And
go.
the fans don't like that. It gives Penn State a chance to set up with just 7 seconds left here. Steve Parker wondering why the timeout was called.
Harrison will be the trigger for the Nittany Lions. Play still stops. Still 7 seconds left on the clock. And why play was stopped, I don't know, David.
Now he's going to come over and explain it, I think, no? He will talk to Coach Walter Barr, referee Steve Olson will, and tell him why he stopped the play. Barr can't complain. And we're still in a delay situation. Niall Harrison will hit it. He'll look for Scorpion in front, or for Steve Potter, the little red-headed player, directly in front of the goal that you'll see. Now Steve Parker's going to hear what the situation is from referee Steve Olson.
Fans getting a little bit upset below us, so there will be a substitution for Penn State.
Was number 13, Steve France.
France injured on the play. And Dago will again come in. Ball loose.
3, 2, 1.
And that is the end of our first overtime period. And we are still tied at 1.
Penn
We'll take a short break.
Attendance has been estimated at 2,500. Thank you for your support.
The University of Akron won, Penn State won. The announced crowd at somewhere around 2,500.
Not counting those standing along the second floor of the Student Center looking down. People packed around the Lee R. Jackson Field everywhere they can be for this one. Well, we go to the second of our 10-minute overtimes. The teams will change ends, and the format is the same. It's not sudden death. We will play the full 10 minutes. If the score remains tied at the end of that 10 minutes, we go to the shootout.
PA announcer Dave Hoffmeyer explaining the situation to the crowd.
As we indicated, the University of Akron's as far as it's ever been in NCAA soccer here in the quarterfinals. Penn State once before got beyond this point. In fact, in 1979, they were the third-place team in the nation under the new NCAA format. Last year, they got to the quarterfinal, lost to Evansville.
Well, it has been everything you'd want in an NCAA soccer match, Division I variety.
Two outstanding teams, Joe, and one of the problems sometimes, Joe and I have done soccer before, is what to talk about while the ball's at midfield. That has not been the case today. A lot of action, more or less end-to-end, but more particularly pressure by the Akron Zips. Outshot Penn State 24-10 in regulation time, outshot them again in the overtime, 3-1, and the pressure has been on. They have not been able to get that second goal, though. Meanwhile, Penn State scored really on the only good chance they had in the second half. A quick ball that came through right at the start of the second half. Kamal Haddad, the international player from Tunisia, put it in for Penn State, and that's been it. 1-1, we go to the second overtime. The fans get really into the game, and you can hear them in the background as they encourage the Zips. Very few people have left, despite the cold day of this crowd, estimated, as you heard, at around 2,500. And they'll move the crowd back at the Penn State goal end again, as they have done at both ends. The crowd walks back and forth as they change ends to position themselves behind the Penn State goalie and both encourage Zips and heckle John Pasquarello a bit. Nothing has phased Pasquarello. He's been equal to the task since the Zips scored just 3 minutes into the game. Since then, he has held them out of the nets. All right, we're about to go to the kickoff for the second and final overtime. 10 more minutes of soccer action from Lee Jackson Field. Back to Joe Dunn.
Thank you, David. The officials, as you mentioned, down behind the Penn State goalkeeper. John Pasquarello trying to move that horde of Akron fans who moves from one goal to the other, depending on which side Akron is shooting for. We are tied at 1. At midfield we play, and Penn State comes up with it. Turnbull and Evison. This is Sensky. Corey gets it to Roderick Scott. Double team, breaks away. Now triple team, still spinning away. Great moves by Scott. And he's still in control. Gets it off to Derek Gaffney. Gaffney down towards Scott. Derek with a centering pass. Nobody there, and Pasquarello runs up to make the save.
Dave Wells maybe a little unsure of which way Scott was going to go with that. The ball went deep. Dave was at the top of the box and couldn't move in quickly enough. Pasquarello covered up.
Ooh, Turnbull with a strong play there at midfield, and another Penn State Nittany Lion is down and hurt.
Kamal Haddad is on the ground. Play goes on.
Evison to Scott. Scott with a maneuver. Inside run off the play.
Ted Gillen again, the freshman, playing fine fullback for Penn State. Now the referee calls time. Kamal Haddad will receive attention from the Penn State trainer. You see him down there, stretching the legs, bending the knee, as the Penn State staff comes out to check out their fine sophomore forward from Tunisia, 5'9", 160-pound Kamal Haddad. He scored the goal on a left-footed shot from close in early on in the second half.
He took a direct hit there from Neil Turnbull. Turnbull at 6'3", about 175 pounds.
You see Haddad being brought off. Steve France will replace him in the Penn State lineup.
Haddad only 5'9", 160. Corner kick for the Zips. 1 minute into our second overtime. The center kick, the kick, kicked out of there by Penn State. The Zips again come so close to the goal. Sensky trying to run it down. Pat Nash behind him. Pat keeps it in. Out of play, and it belongs, I believe, to the Zips.
Outstanding play by Jordy Klein, the senior fullback, who right on the goal line kicked that one out of there. Number 16 for Penn State.
From our vantage point, it looked like that one may be in, and all of a sudden the Lions kicked it out of danger. Zubko will come up and then watch it fly by him to his left and out of play.
Goal kick, Akron.
Zips with the goal kick. Fans completely lining now Lee Jackson Field. The majority of fans in the end zone area right behind that Penn State goal. Turnbull tries to head it away. Push from behind, the Zips have it.
Direct kick, Akron.
Roderick Scott, deep left wing. Run off the play, no whistle. Nash, left side, tries to center it up, left of the box. Ball's banged loose, and that one will be kept in play and finally rolls out of play and belongs to Akron. 7.5 minutes to go in our second overtime.
Corey Sensky setting up his team. Probably the long throw in coming out. The Zips centered in front. There it is.
Sensky, Turnbull with the header. And by Pascarella and out of play.
Derek Gaffney couldn't quite get to the back post in time to
Penn State sub.
put the foot to it. Kamal Haddad comes back in now for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Replacing number 11, Peter Daigle.
Just under 7 minutes to go here in our second and final overtime. We'll go to the shootout format if we're tied at 1. Zip coaching staff down below us to the left. Dr. Tom Nash, Simon Spelling. Steve Parker, the head coach, pacing in front of his bench. Akron will have it. Corey Sensky will put it in play for the Zips. Sensky up toward Derek Gaffney and out of play. It'll belong, I believe, to Penn State. It does. Graham Evison with the steal. This is Roderick Scott run off the play. Ball loose and right in front of the Penn State bench. Sensky will put it in play. Gets it to Evison. Evison has his shirt pulled, and that'll be foul call against Penn State.
Well, this will be a direct from just about 10 yards outside the penalty box. It's a good spot for Akron. Derek Gaffney puts it to Sensky.
Sensky with the shot, a curling shot right at Pascarella. That one took one big jump and landed right at Pascarella's feet.
Penn State massed on defense. They seem content to try and hold off the Zips and maybe go to that shootout situation.
Sensky back to Smith. Crosses it now to Pat Nash at midfield. Nash back to Docking. Docking goes down in the wet turf. Gets it to Nash. Akron working up the left side for one of the few times this afternoon. Nash in a hurry. Left of the box, cuts inside and can't run on the ball, and finally Penn State kicks it out of trouble with 4 minutes and 35 seconds left to go.
David Zartman saving the day for his goalie. Again, it'll be a throw-in for Akron. Corey Sensky will go over to take it. He'll try to get it on Neil Turnbull. There's
shot up, and Pascarella leaves his feet to make the save.
Too high. Turnbull couldn't get to it.
Penn State on offense now. This is Niall Harrison up the right side, marked by Pfister.
Mark Pfister got back there quickly, Joe, that time.
Shot just to the left of Zubko and out of play. We are under 4 minutes to go. 3:55 left to go in the last of our 2 overtime periods. Akron trying to make at least 1 or 2 good runs on Penn State here in the final 3.5 minutes. Turnbull heads it up toward Roderick Scott. Down he goes at midfield. Niall Harrison tries to center things up. Ball loose. Zubko runs and makes a diving save before Jan Skorpin can come up and try and boot it home. Wells. To Sensky. To Evison. Up ahead, looking for Turnbull. He can't find him. Instead, Potter brings it the other way for Penn State. Potter still in control. Centers it up ahead to Scorpion. This is dangerous time. Nice save by Zupko. And that one might have saved the day for the Zips.
From the last possible opportunity, Dave Zupko got the hand out, knocked it down, and grabbed it. Sean Docking thought Scorpion was offside. Slowed up for just a second. Jan Scorpion nailed it, and Zupko had to be very, very sharp. Fine play.
Putting some heat on. Akron trying to regroup offensively. Pascarella now in control. Two and a half minutes left to go.
Two exceptional goaltenders on the field today. Pascarella, a senior nearing the end of his career. Dave Zupko, a freshman just beginning his. Both have been sharp all afternoon.
And you've got to wonder just how much these players have left in them. Playing on emotion and adrenaline right now, but you can only take your bodies so far.
That's right. Push it so hard.
And I think sometimes the spectators forget that exactly.
Yeah, they're calling
for
these
players are in.
Calling for things that might have been possible early on in the game, and at this point, it's hard to push the body any further.
Less than 2 minutes remain in the second overtime period.
At midfield, Roderick Scott trying to come up with a play. Pat Nash. And the Zips will have it. 1:45 left to go. Roderick Scott down toward Pat Nash. Nash had the winning goal against Evansville. Marked there by Penn State. This is Scott. Centering kick towards Sensky. Nobody home. Headed out of trouble by Penn State. Kept in by Docking at midfield. 1:24 left to go. Corey Sensky makes a run. Can't control the ball. Back at midfield. Matt Smith heads it out of trouble. Run down by Pfister. Mark keeps it in trouble. Kicks it right in the middle of a lot of players. Nobody can control. And finally Penn State kicks it upfield. Exactly 1 minute left to go. Roderick Scott left of the box. Makes a quick darting move and is run off the play and out of play.
Fans and players looking for a penalty. They didn't get it. They'll get a corner kick instead. Less than a minute left. Derek Gaffney will take it.
44 seconds left to go. Gaffney with the corner kick. To the right of Pascarella. The Zips group right in front of him. Here it comes. Turnbull can't get it. Matt Smith right of the goal. He kicks it up. Shot kept out of trouble. The Penn State Lions dodged a bullet with 25 seconds left to go. Scorpion battling against Pfister, and Zupko comes up with it for the Zips with 19 seconds left.
Mark Pfister was back there all by himself with the dangerous Scorpion, managed to get the ball out of trouble.
Ball in play. Penn State has it. This is Scorpion. 10 seconds left to go. Scorpion. To Potter. This is Scorpion. Kicked out of trouble by Pfister. And that is it. The two overtime periods are over. We are going to the penalty kick format. And Mr. Jameson, tell us what we will see.
Each coach will select 5 players for a shoot-off. 5 men will have a shot from the penalty spot, and the goalkeeper will be in there alone against him. It's an exciting way, but a frustrating way after you've played 110 minutes of soccer to finish a game. And whichever way it turns out, each team is going to say, well, we had our chances during the regulation. Penn State was in one of these a year ago against Temple in the NCAA first round, and they won it 6-5. They made 4 of their kicks, 4 of the 5 kicks during the penalty shootout. Akron has not had one this year. They had one a year ago, I believe, in the Children's Hospital Classic and won that one.
This really is a tough way to determine a match that has so much writing on it. The fans now coming up right on the sidelines to get a better view of probably one of the more dramatic moments in University of Akron athletic history.
They'll have to move all the fans, Joe, I think, from each end of the field at this point because of the shootout format, so everyone will be massed along the sidelines. And as you look across Lee Jackson Field on our camera shot, you can see the fans are absolutely lining the pitch now. They don't have to stay back from the sideline, so they'll be out there massed shoulder to shoulder while this penalty kick shootout goes on. Okay, we're going to see a wonderful save here. This is Scorpion breaking in, past docking. There's Zupko knocking the ball loose with his left hand and then diving on it. The save of the game, certainly, for the University of Akron Zips, and it's what's got them into this shootout. Scorpion had it lined up, had it measured, and Zupko made the save. The referee trying to move people, the field announcer, public address announcer, trying to move the crowd from the two ends. Coach Parker, I think, is selecting his players now. It looks like Neil Turnbull, Corey Sensky, Dave Wells, Derek Gaffney, and Graham Evison, I believe, will be the 5 shooters for the University of Akron Zips. We go to